Back to Hey Kentucky. Last night we aired part one of my interview with the Republican leader of the state Senate. Tonight, the conversation with Damon Thayer continues with a discussion about the protests and threats leveled against Governor Beshear as the coronavirus restrictions continue. The people that have been protesting, I know that they are frustrated, as are a lot of people, about the economy. What would you say to those folks who are, standing out in not social distancing ways, and they are standing close together in protest? Is there a better way to do it, and also maybe speak to some of the threats of violence that have been aimed toward the governor?
Great question. First of all, let me take it in reverse order. The threats of violence against the governor are absolutely out of bounds, and I detest them, I deplore them, and I do not condone and I condemn them. We don't need that kind of talk going on at any time, but especially right now during this time. I think the governor has done a reasonably good job leading our state through this. He and I certainly have political differences, but I want to compliment him on the job he's done. I know he's under a lot of stress and pressure, and he shouldn't have to deal with threats of violence. So that's number one. I want to get that off the table right away. Secondly, you asked about the protesters, and this is certainly not just happening in Kentucky. We're seeing it happen in states all across the country, and I think people are frustrated. They're frustrated because naturally, as a country, as a people, as a society, we're not made to stay at home and be quarantined like this. And I think healthy people who aren't in the at-risk population want to see that shelter in place order lifted. And I think people can make choices about where they go and following the CDC protocols. As to the protest, I don't think the governor should have shut down the Capitol grounds for protests, but I do think it is the responsible thing to do for those protesting that they follow the distancing protocols that are in place, and that they stay apart, they engage in hand washing and sanitizing. But I think they should be allowed to protest. It's happening all over the country, whether people stay in their cars or not. Obviously, if they get out of their cars, I think they should show in public that they can follow the social distancing guidelines. But I know they're frustrated, and they're very concerned about the economy. And I think you can be equally concerned about the dangers of the coronavirus while at the same time being concerned with an encroachment on personal liberties, as well as the devastating effects on our economy. That's where I am, in that space where all those circles intertwine. And I think a lot of people are there too. And I support their right to protest. We've dealt with a lot of protests over the last few years in Frankfort. Some of those protests were against issues I support. Some of them were for issues I support. But I support a redress of grievances by the people against their government. And I think as long as it's done in a safe and healthy protocol way, I think it's something that's part of our republic.
Damon Thayer for joining us. Still ahead on Hey Kentucky, Yaka! I'll catch up with Ryan Lemon to see how he is handling the quarantine era. Don't go away.